Let's talk about Cam Newton's reputation, if you will, and whether or not a great game could change everyone's perception of him. Is that at all possible? How much would just the Panthers winning change it? Let's put it that way.
One game, zero chance of changing the perception.
The way you think about Cam now is the way you'll think about him whether they win or lose.
Zero chance.
Okay.
In the wild card round?
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Newton's a superstar in this league. Like, we expect him to play well. So if he plays well, we're not going to be like, wow, this is something new. Like, Cam has been in 6 playoff games. He's got 3 wins. He's on a good football team. And if Cam doesn't play well, it's not going to change his your perception of who he is as a quarterback. You know, with Cam Newton on your team in Carolina, as long as Cam's in Carolina, they will have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And you cannot change perception. Maybe Nick Foles can, but he's not playing the wild card game. Maybe Case Keenum can, because they don't have a resume in the playoffs.
Right.
But when you have been the MVP of the league, when you have led your team to the Super Bowl, there are not questions about Cam Newton. Wow, can he win a playoff game? No, he's already answered those questions. Wow, can he lead his team to the Super Bowl? Yes, Cam can do that. Well, what if he doesn't play well? Can he still get his team on the winning bus or winning plane? Yes, Cam can do that. So, no, not in the wild card round. I don't care if he throws the ball 80%, like, no turnovers, it's not going to matter. You have to keep advancing. Cam is bigger than just the wild card round. And his career is bigger than just a win in the wild card round. He needs to be able to get his team to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. Win the Super Bowl against Tom Brady, that would change the perception.
It's a hell of a standard.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a standard.
You asked me the question, didn't you?
No, and I'm responding to it, CC.
It's not a standard that he's not going to change perception in a wild card game when the guy's played in 6 playoff games. He was the first pick in the draft. What kind of standard should we have?
To be one of the better quarterbacks in the league, which is what I think he's been over the last 7 years. Like I agree with you that he's not going to change perception because people are entrenched on Cam. Like people have decided their opinions on him fairly or unfairly through these 7 years of his career in one playoff game, good or bad. I don't think so. People that support Cam, if he plays poorly, they're not going to jump off the bus. And people that don't think I
think we get caught up into this. Oh, I support a guy, I don't. I just report the news, all right? They make the news, okay. I report the news. So it's not a matter of do I support a guy. What I support is consistency, all right? If you're one of the best players and you have the type of talent that Cam Newton has, like a lot of other players, if you're not playing to that level, then you're open for criticism. It's not a matter of do I support. I support the guys who are consistent.
Okay, well, let's talk about the consistency. Because since he came into the league, right? We'll even include his rookie year. Since 2011, I can think of 5 quarterbacks who have been consistently better than Cam. Brady, Rodgers, Brees, Big Ben, Russell Wilson. That's it. That's the full list of guys to me that since Cam came in the league, I'd rather have. So if he's in that somewhere 6 to 10 range, now Carson Wentz has probably jumped over him, but if we're talking about consistency, you probably need a bigger sample than that. Then I feel like he is scrutinized as if he's in the 16 to 20 range because, as CC mentioned, his raw passing numbers are that of an average quarterback. But if his throwing numbers alone are an average quarterback and his rushing numbers are as the best rushing quarterback in the history of the league, then that puts him somewhere in that 6 to 10 range. And
Do you think Cam is satisfied with his ability to pass the ball every game?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But how many guys in the league do you think are totally satisfied with where they are?
Any person with the type of talent that Cam has, they would be more satisfied than he is.
But the perception...
They'd be further along, you mean?
Yes,
they
absolutely.
Okay, not necessarily satisfied with where he is right now.
I mean, you're in year 7. I mean, it wasn't like he was a one-and-done guy. It came into the league when he was 19. He came in as a very mature person. At this point, it should be different. His fundamentals should be more buttoned up. It's not a matter of being a fan or criticizing the guy. If there was someone else had this kind of talent and they were not developing, I'll give you a prime example. Michael Vick, we criticize Michael Vick all the time for his lack of ability to throw the ball in the pocket consistently. We criticize Michael Vick a lot. Well, at least myself, objectively, I did.
But what Vick didn't have was multiple years of playoff success. What Vic didn't have was a league MVP. What Vic didn't have was
Michael Vick also didn't have the Carolina Panthers, the organization, and that defense around him.
Okay, but he had better weapons on offense than who's the best receiver Cam's played with since Steve Smith, his second year?
It wouldn't matter if he played with a Hall of Famer. He wouldn't hit him.
Okay. Well,
And that started, Nick, on the day at the Combine. In shorts, wide receivers running patterns. Cam was one of the most inaccurate guys that we've ever seen at the Combine. And there was no defenders, and the guys were running in T-shirts and shorts. So it's not like this is some new take on Cam Newton. His fundamentals are not good. And when you get in the game, his fundamentals break down.
But I think that what is driving the perception is games like last week. He's not, when you talk about the guys in the net, not the top 5 guys, but the 6 to 10, the 6 to 12, those guys, maybe they're not insane, but maybe they're not atrocious. They bring it every single week. When you can show a graphic like we've been showing of Cam Newton, who plays superb, and then a horrible game like last week, I think that's what drives that perception.
Of course it does, Jenna, but you can't ignore the top side of the graphic. Cece's mentioned that there's how many quarterbacks have had this many games of a sub-70 quarterback rating. It's a short list of bad quarterbacks and Cam's on it. But the flip side of that is there's only 5 guys in the league who have had games, 4 games or more with a 120-plus quarterback rating. And it's some of the best quarterbacks in the league. So you're right, Jenna. The guys in Cam's tier are usually consistently above average, as opposed to Cam, who is sometimes horrible and sometimes looks like Aaron Rodgers. Like, I just think we focus more on the former than the latter. That's all.
So then answer the question. Can anything change everyone's perception?
I think Cece's right that the standard is he has to win the damn Super Bowl to change the perception.
Like, we can lie. Oh, yeah, you know something? It's the same. Like, if we were doing a show that was based on our ratings and we were going to be eliminated, all right, tomorrow, you would do a different dang on show. Well, at least I hope you would. And that's the same way to play. Yeah, you're trying to repeat what you do 16 times, but in those circumstances, none of those circumstances, for the most part, are loser, go home. So you can't create the type of anxiety and the type of pressure that's in the playoff. The game is faster. There's 3 different levels of speed in the National Football League. It starts off with your baptism into the preseason. You're just trying to hold on. The game is moving faster than any football game you ever played in. And then you go to the regular season. Veteran players say, hey, big fella, they're getting ready to go 30 miles per hour faster than you've ever seen. You're like, how can that happen? And you get in the regular season, the first game, you're like, whoa, man, this is fast.
Yep.
And then it's the granddaddy. It's the playoffs. They are moving 30% more faster than what you've seen in the regular season. The hits come on you quicker. Guys in space move a lot faster. And as wide receivers, what I used to always do to our room is I used to come up with a fine system. If you run out of bounds without being forced out of bounds, I would fine you. If you dropped the ball, I would fine you. If you dropped it on 3rd down, the fine would be substantially more. And if you dropped a touchdown, I would wring your neck. So how I went about it was a lot different because the stakes were different. I listened to Tom Brady. Tom Brady said, if you get in the playoffs, it's because you've been good. You deserve the right to play 70 plays. I'm trying to play great so that I earn the right to get 70 more plays. So, Jared Goff, nice try at your first press conference. This is where your name will be made. Legends are made in the playoffs, not in the regular season.
I just want to follow up one quick thing with UCC. You mentioned your fine system, and you've told me about the very first one of that before in depth, about the running out of bounds thing. I think people understand, okay, you drop it, you're going to get fined. If you drop a touchdown, you wring your neck. Explain to the audience why the running out of bounds thing in the playoffs was a thing for you.
Because of the physical presence. Not only also in the running game, we're going to block, but we're letting everyone on that team know we're not diva wide receivers. We're in it just like you guys. In the playoffs, everyone makes the same thing. There are no multi-million. There is no $20 million quarterback in the playoff. You get the same paycheck that the 53rd guy on the roster gets, your playoff portion. So let's show them we're not different. We're in the same boat. We're going to play physical, and it sends a message to the rest of the team.
I got a question for you as well, from your position. So I look at in this game, not Jared Goff, but Aaron Donald, right? So Aaron Donald is one of the star players in this league. Maybe anyone on the D-line, but we'll talk about Donald. For a wide receiver, what you'd be worried about, I would think, is what happened with Odell last year. Like, you have your first pass of the game is dropped, you get in your own head, you try to do too much, and it builds on itself. With a D lineman, you might say, well, how a D lineman is just going to work as hard as they can. So what bad can come of that? would the concern be someone not sticking with their assignment, someone trying to, I want to make the star play as opposed to the Belichick thing, do your job? Is that the concern for a guy's first playoff game, that they're going to try to do too much from a defensive perspective, or does that not exist?
No, it absolutely does exist, because you get some guys that want to go out there and be the hero. And CC, you talked about this yesterday on the show about guys doing things that are outside the norm of their routine. You stick to a routine. You want to be a creature of habit in the NFL because you want to have that formula for success. You want to be able to replicate that. If you can't replicate that in the playoffs, then that's going to be a problem for you. So that's what you want to do. If you're one of those guys that gets on the early bus to get to the stadium 3 hours before kickoff, continue to do that. If you get on the late bus which gets to the stadium 2 hours before kickoff, that's what you do. If you don't go outside to warm up, don't do that. Don't do that in the playoffs. Don't do something outside of the norm, because your teammates are depending on you to be where you're supposed to be and execute the fundamentals of your assignment. If you don't do that, that's when the critical errors show up. It's all about being able to get back to the fundamentals of the game of football, which is run the ball, stop the run, and rush the passer. And if you don't do those things at a high level, if you can't execute the fundamentals of football, you're going to have a hard time having success. That's what you worry about with a young team that doesn't have playoff experience.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.